Participants are requested to keep their cameras on throughout the session. This will make it more interactive and better for the guests also to interact with you and answer your questions. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to USLLS Internship and Placement Cells webinar on CV building and the second phase of SCC Online Orientation. I, Karthik Sana, along with me, Ritik Khan, will be your host for today's session. In the words of Richard Bowles, a resume is not just a summary of a career, it is just the first impression of the story which is going to be told all across the world and your life. Your CV is often the first showcase of your skills, experiences, and potential to recruiters. In the legal profession, a well structured CV can be the deciding factor between securing an opportunity and future or being overlooked. This session will guide you through the essentials of crafting a professional CV which is tailored to the demands of the legal field. Through the seminar, we aim to providing you insights into creating a CV that stands out, emphasizes on unique strengths, and effectively communicates your qualifications. Whether you're applying for internships, clerkships, or graduate roles, mastering the art of CV is a critical step in your journey. Now it is my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker today, Advocate Samarth Luthra, a distinguished alumnus of our college whose remarkable journey is a source of inspiration for all the aspiring legal professions today. Having recently completing, Having recently completed his master's from the prestigious School of London School of Economics and Political Science, he is now set to further his academic pursuits with a post-graduation degree at the renowned NLSIU Bangalore. His professional achievements are equally commendable, as he is an advocate at Delhi High Court and CAT. He's also the registered foreign lawyer with the Solicitors Regulation Authority in England and Wales. Sir has made significant contributions in the legal fraternity while mentoring teams of multiple international mooting competitions and fostering a culture of excellence in legal education. Furthermore, he also serves as the ex officio advisor to the ADIA blog and the CGRC blog of our college, solidifying his commitment to advancing the legal discourse and professional development. His dedication and accomplishments truly embody the qualities of a good advocate and a global leader. Sir's journey underscores presenting your skills, achievements effectively, and not only through constant hard work and legal acumen, but also through meticulous CV presentation. We are privileged to have him guide us today for this session.
Right. Thank you. You came prepared. All right. So the introduction part is already done. That saves me 5 minutes. Thank you, Karthike. I did not know I was making such a huge impact. But yes, let's move on to the session at hand, the topic at hand. Today we're talking about CV building. Now, my background on that particular front, I have shortlisted CVs for, as you know, the ADIA blog, Niti Manthan, which is a research think tank, While Cube, which is also a research think tank. I was a part of the Indian Journal of Project Infrastructure and Energy Laws, where I recruited a lot of editors on all levels. So till now, I think I've shortlisted I think I've gone through about 3,000 to 4,000 CVs overall. Right. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Ideally, your CV, and this is how I would like to start off the session, that your CV should be built organically, right? Because CV, like any other document, is a form of communication. It showcases your qualifications, what you're interested in. It somehow also communicates the level of discipline you show to the recruiters or to, let's say, an admissions office. Why not? So, yes, your levels of competency are also reflected through your CV. And in this session, I'm mostly going to cover the aspects of CV. And even though I was told to talk also about cover letters, I will keep it brief because a cover letter is only what supplements the CV, whereas CV is the main thing. So, yes, let's go on to it. Again, as I said, it should be organic. So, if I've been told that there are a lot of first year and second year students, and the reason why you joined law school is perhaps what are going to be your first couple of experiences that you'll jot down in the CV. So let's say you wanted to make an impact, you wanted to fight poverty, you'll probably join an NGO which does that, and that will be your first experience that you would jot down in your CV. That will be your first work experience. So it has to happen organically at least the first couple of years, right? If anyone is with me, can I just get a simple nod because it feels like I'm talking to a bunch of tiles on Google Meet? Yes, perfect. Uh, right. So the first couple of years, build it organically. Try to do as much as you can about different fields, especially about the field that got you into law. For many of you, it was the dream of getting landing a corporate job in a tier one firm. Then why not? But let's face it, as the ground reality is, no one's going to give you an internship in even a tier three corporate law firm right now if you're from first and second years. But then, how do you get into those? That's going to be one of the aspects that we will talk about today. So let's say it's IPR, it's corporate, right? And there are no opportunities for first and second year students. This is when you take matter into your own hands. You start reading about those things, you start writing about those things. In the university itself, for corporate, you have Anuj Baksha, sir, if I'm not wrong. And for IPR, you have Vandana, ma'am. So for and there is an IPR cell now, which is the latest edition of the arrow in your quiver now. So ask them what you can do. You can probably be a research assistant for them. You can probably become a teaching assistant for them. And that's how you pick up things. What else you can do? You can enroll in a short course, right? So when the opportunities are not there in the marketplace, you'll have to seek them like this. Do something where the other participant is not required. And that's how you build towards, let's say you start writing on these blogs, and there are too many blogs nowadays, which is a good thing and a bad thing. If you're in your third year, fourth year, fifth year, try to publish in blogs which are respectable, which have some credibility. Try to find some journals which are double blind peer reviewed, and those should be your goals for your final years of law school, like third, fourth, and fifth. That's what I consider a final, because by the time you're in your third year, ideally your third and the fourth year is the one where you get PPOs. That's not the current culture in our college, but I'm sure by the time these first year and second years, which I've been told are here in large numbers, by the time they'll be in their third year and fourth year, that will be the culture. Right. So that's how you start. Again, build it organically. Try to do as many things as you can initially. Because in law, from what I've experienced, not firsthand, but what I've heard from other people is that sometimes the discipline finds you rather than you trying to find a discipline. So try to do as many things initially. We will talk about how a CV should look like, because that's the main thing for first and second years. What to include in the CV, what to not include in the CV, especially if you've just joined law schools, you probably don't have anything to jot down in your CV. So what do you do then? First thing is that if you're at USLLS, that means you did well at least in CLAT at some level, right? Because it is the second best university in Delhi for 5 year law course. That is true. So you must have some accomplishments to show when you were in school, right? You must have a scholar badge. You must have gotten good grades in your CBSE examinations, some other activity that you may have done, co-curriculars, etc. Jot them down, because even though it will not showcase your legal acumen to the recruiter, it will show the fact that once you want to do something, you're passionate about it, you go ahead with it, you put in the requisite effort. And that's all any recruiter who is looking to hire a first or a second year expects. They don't expect you to be Nani Palkiwala. They don't expect you to be Arvind Athar. They expect a young college fresher just to put in all his or her effort into it. That's how you start. For the CV, usually you put it into sectors in an order which showcases the importance of the sectors. And I will give you an example. For example, your educational qualifications are the most vital aspect of your professional journey, right? So you put it at the top. Then become the mini qualifications that you get throughout. It could be a certificate course, it could be an advanced diploma that you're doing from not a recognized institution. So all those things you put it in the second section. The third section that becomes very important is your work experience section, where you jot down all your internships. In fact, I think the comparers have been sent a copy of my CV. So if you can put that up. If is everyone with me? Can I get a thumbs up, please? Perfect. Right. So if you can just put up that CV.
So first we'll be going with your CV.
Yeah, please.
All right.
Also, a lot of you are present in the meeting, but it would be really healthy for the interactive environment if you could switch on your cameras or speak, unmute yourself and respond, whoever can.
Right. So this is what I would consider a good CV. Firstly, because I'm self-obsessed. No, that's not true. Maybe it is. But it is the CV that got me through LSE. It is the CV that I'm putting in for empanelments. It is the CV that got accepted in most of the places that applied. It is the CV that got me an opportunity as an LR law research out with your name, your basic information. On the top tile, you will see my email address, my contact number, my date of birth. Date of birth isn't that important. It's only important for me because the recruiters that I am targeting are now the government empanelment bodies, right? And they need to see that you have a certain age, you have a certain experience, all of those things. So that is why date of birth becomes important for me. It probably would not be as important for you right now, so you can probably skip it, right? It shows my designations, it shows where I'm eligible to practice, so two places there. And then of course education, number one. The second thing is other relevant courses. Now these are the qualifications. This is what goes alongside my name every time I go out there, whether it be a speaking event, whether it be even on my visiting cards. These are the things which make me the professional that I am. So your education and your mini qualifications go hand in hand. So first at the top, and the second thing becomes your relevant courses. So I had done some summer schools, some courses, a diploma, and then 2 3 events that I attended in different universities, which were certificate courses. And then it's the work experience. This is what you should be looking to add on more to in your CVs initially, because for second year students, the more you work right now, the more an understanding you will get, not only about the legal profession but also about your work ethic right now. In first or second year, we tend to overestimate how much we can do and what we like, because we've only been fed certain information from the outside, right? And that takes a toll on a persona going forward in the career. So I want you to do as much work as you can, whether it be through NGOs, through an independent practitioner, whether it be a firm, whether it be through your college professor who you're, let's say, assisting with something. So all these things you should consider. NGOs, I will put in a word of caution for NGOs right now. It's because as first years, second years, and probably some third, fourth years are also there. So they probably know the situation better now. But as first and second years, you don't know which NGO is credible and which one is not. Many times you will find that the NGO is run by one or two people just to, buttress their personality out in the open, just to get some publicity to their name. Now, in these NGOs, you don't want to be slogging your hours, being unpaid, and building up someone else's reputation who is solely doing it for the reputation. So, NGOs nowadays, be wary, do a good background check, and all these background checks will also help you going forward. Right. So that was the word of caution on NGOs. Again, so that's work experience. I have put in the fact that I was the area blogs editor in chief and managing editor, and that's usually something that you don't put in the work experience. But because I was the founder as well, and I started everything, so it was like my own personal project, which I gave a lot of hours to, which is why I've put it there. Otherwise, if you have an editorial position, you put it in positions of responsibility, right? But if you're having a lot of tasks as a part of that position of responsibility, then you put it in workx. I understand that I may be speaking a lot of jargon at times. I'm trying to make it simple for you all, but if at any point in time there's some concept that I'm not being able to make very clear, or if there's a question that you'd like to ask, please raise your hand and go ahead. Right, so this is the work experience. You can move ahead, move to the next section. And again, I want you to notice that all these sections are going in the audience of in the order of the importance that I put to them, and the order of importance that generally the legal industry puts to them. So qualifications, mini qualifications, work X. And then now I have moved on to achievements and awards. The only reason why I particularly put this in my CV, because well, all these sections were remade when I was applying for LSE. And because a master's is very academic oriented, you need to showcase what you've achieved overall and the awards that you've got, especially in academics. So the point that comes from this is that you need to tailor your CV according to the requirements of the recruiter. Jot this down, memorize it by heart, and make it a part of your DNA if you can. You have to tailor your CV not only in accordance to your interests and competencies, your qualifications, but also to the requirements of the recruiter. Now, these things, let's say you have a master CV. When I was applying, I had a master CV which was about 4 pages, but no recruiter, no admission office will allow you to put in a CV of more than 2 pages, right? So every time you send in your CV, you make sure that you have your master CV, and then you delete some of the things and you tailor it to the place you're applying to. This is a very generic advice, but it's generic for a reason because it works. And there can be no good CV without implementation of that advice, right? So I have my achievements and awards here, and then first subheading within this is academic achievements, again because I was applying to a very academic oriented place for my masters. Then are my co-curricular achievements, which usually even in your case would consist of your moot courts, your client counselings, your mediation, ADR competitions, and sometimes perhaps there are conferences where you presented your paper and you got an award, right? So all those things are co-curricular. Those are not part of your curriculars, but they are in supplement to them. And please note the difference between co-curricular and extracurricular. A lot of people will say that it's the same thing. It's not, right? Co-curricular is supposed to supplement your curriculum. Your curriculum is the syllabus. Extracurricular is outside of what falls in your syllabus. So it could be things such as your personal interest, your personal talents, for example, dance, singing, videography, things like that, right? It could be a sport. I have put in some sporting positions as well, but only in my positions of responsibility because I led a team of sorts. That's why it's there. So this should be the proper hierarchy of things. I have also put in a section for my publications, and these are some of the publications that I've put in, only the best that I wanted to send to LSE. And the ones which have a varied impact. And varied in the sense that some of these publications are extremely academic in nature. They only talk about the law as it is, as it ought to be, as the judgments describe it to be, and what the judgment should be. But then some of these are my personal opinions. So the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the Indraprastha Law Review one, I was asked by the dean and the faculty for the ADI block to write something. And I expressed my personal opinion rather than analyzing a law, which is something that I wanted the potential recruiter to see. I wanted my CV to come off as that Samarth Luthra is an all rounder, right? Whereas some of you may want your CV to be like, oh, I see Jalaj, so I will take Jalaj's example. Jalaj says that, oh, I want to be a corporate law specialist. So Jalaj will only put those things in his CV which give him that perception, which allows him to have that perception, right? Uh, then there are reports and handbooks, again things I was part of. Then positions of responsibility, uh, yeah. So all the things where you have taken the, you know, the entrepreneurial step, the initiative, where they say, where you led a team, where you gave a lot of people the motivation, where you were burdened with tasks which needed to be done and you were accountable for them. It's not like, oh, I was an intern. An intern is not a position of responsibility, because you may be given some work, but there's no accountability at the end of the day, neither to the court nor to the client. So that's not a position of responsibility. Whenever you are solely held accountable of something, that's what you put in a position of responsibility. Now there are a lot of people who would not have these many positions of responsibility, and they will have a lot of white space on their CV, right? So how do you counter that? You don't make a section of positions of responsibility, you make a sections of extracurricular activity. And it could include things like, oh, you play the sport, you are interested in this. Let's say you're interested in chess. I was interested in chess. Let's say you're interested in poker. Why not? Right? So sometimes a recruiter may also at the end see if they're sitting on a table and shortlisting CVs of, let's say, all the first year students and all the second year students. They know that they're not going to find a lot of material which will exhibit the legal acumen. But at this stage, you will also realize that most of you are not far off from each other in levels of competency. All of the first years and all of the second years are like a blank slate. So, what differentiates one from another? Perhaps the recruiter may want to recruit someone for an internship who has the same interest as them. Perhaps the recruiter plays table tennis in the evening and they'll be like, you know what, these two people seem like they're as good as each other. I will have someone who plays table tennis because at the end of the office hours, we might just play a set or two, right? So, again, and they also showcase a different level of discipline. Let's say you've been playing a sport for 10 or 12 years of your life. You put that down in your extracurricular activities or skills. And then the other person thinks, okay, this person is at least able to devote that much time onto something. So they're disciplined. Right? Right now, the biggest challenge that all of you will face, I've been told that this session was mandatory for first year students. So this meeting is populated by all first year students only. You will not have enough things to put down, right? Which is where these self-enrolled certificate courses, your publications, your research assistantship to the teachers, your extracurriculars, all of these things will matter. And step by step, gradually, and this is one advice that I will give you all: spend some time with your CV after every single month. you will see certain aspects as you grow in your personality. You will find that your CV is less and less acceptable to you in terms of the presentation, the grammar, coherency, style of writing, many things. Uh, Karthik, can you please take me back to the work experience section? Right, so work experience section, I have the organization on the extreme left, the profile, what designation I was working under, the period I worked for, and the description. Now I'll tell you the importance of description. Description should firstly, as a general point, make no more than 3 to 4 points. This is the description which will get you into trouble, so you must be wary about it. Whatever you write here will at some point in time be questioned by the interviewer. Let's say you've put in 3 corporate internships and now you're applying for a tier 1 corporate internship. Right, you go to JSA, you go to Try Legal, and they'll ask you about these questions. They'll ask you about what you've written. Sorry. And if you don't know it by then, you'll get into trouble. They'll probably blacklist you. So, whatever you write here, you must be very confident of it. It must not be vague. If you say that, oh, I spent 3 months in this office, and what I did was I researched on corporate laws. You can't write that. No one's going to give you the benefit of doubt when you tell them that you worked 3 months in an office and all you have to write about it is that you researched on corporate laws. That's not going to fly. The competition is fierce nowadays, so make sure that the writing that you exhibit in your cover letter as well as your CV is clear, coherent, and it follows a thread of reasonability, and it goes chronologically at least. Here you will find that everything is going in a reverse chronological order. The recent thing is put at the top, and the sections are put in the order of their importance. Right? Is everyone with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we have 20 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions till now? Anything that they want to speak about? Any problems that someone is facing when they're applying to internships? Right, then we'll move on to the second CV then. Karthik, can you take me to the other CV, this 2025 prospective graduate from National Law University, Jodhpur?
So this is by Anshu Sava
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
So Samarth is a friend. We're a little
Oh,
less harsh.
yeah. I, thanks. Thanks for the heads up.
Nobody's not here, but I am.
No, it's okay. See, now this CV will be the most aligned to the one that you may have been shared. I'm sure when you entered law school, at the orientation itself, the internship and placement cell would have given you a sample CV, right? This CV looks a lot like that, which means that it's a good, decent CV. But there's a reason why I did not adopt this format, because I had too many things to write down and the format just wouldn't, have the space. So I had to tweak my format a bit. But this format is pretty good. The format that I used and the format that this person has used are the two most acceptable formats in the UK at least. And whatever UK does, India bounds to follow, even the laws that they made 200 years ago. Never mind. Right. So academics at the top again. Internships, because probably this person got a head start in internships and never wanted to change their field. They never wanted to show interest in another form of another discipline, which is why they did not do any mini qualifications. And that is very much visible by their career trajectory. Sam, Cam, Khetan's Cam again, right? And before that, there was Anand and Anand. So there was a lot of corporate law, and I think there's a bit of IPR somewhere. Yes, in Anand and Anand, of course.
So in NLUJ Samarth, they do have a specialization. Like we don't get to specialize in our final year, right? They get to do IPR honors. So this person is doing that. I
Right,
think
but
it's
you,
written on the top of the CV.
no, but you only choose that in your third and fourth year, no?
No, so for us, this is not an elective subject. This is a mandatory subject.
The what?
The so this IPR
Hmm.
for them, they get
Yeah.
to specialize in
Right.
BALLB.
No, the point I was making is that Vani, they choose their specialization not in the first year.
Yeah,
They choose their specialization later on, right?
yes, not in the
Yeah.
first year,
But this person
last year.
last year, exactly. So
Yeah,
for the first 4 years, this person had a very clear mindset about what he wants to do,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? Which is why you won't find a lot of meandering in terms of the discipline he wanted to explore. It's
Is
IPR, it's Journal Pop and
IPR.
RPR. Yeah.
Anand was second year. Like he interned at Anand when he was in second year, right after IC.
Right. And his first internship was the Office of the Advocate General. So, right. And there are publications. The publications are, they seem like they've been done a lot of out of passion, because if you see his work experience, his specialization, and his publications, they're not aligning. The publications are out of passion, right? You can see that this person clearly felt about the extrajudicial judicial killings that happen in our country, clearly feels about human rights, but is not willing to make that his entire career, right? So a CV is a reflection into your legal persona. I have never met this person, but I can tell you these many things about him. If I had his cover letter as well, I'd probably be able to tell slightly more. Why? Now I'll come back to the cover letter aspect. Cover letters are at the end of the day there to give some sort of put a spin, a story on what information is given to you in the CV. Let us say there is a 2 year gap in a CV. They didn't do anything. Went to college, came back, barely passed. Sometimes a recruiter may feel like, oh wait, he didn't do anything for 2 years. Why should I employ him? Why should I consider him for an internship? And a question like this can be best addressed in the cover letter. So in the cover letter, you have your basic informations that, dear sir, dear ma'am, I hope this letter finds you in the pink of health and high spirits. I am Samarth Luthra, a graduate of USLLS and a graduate of LSE. I am writing this letter to express my interest for this position at this office. All those things, the basic things are out of the way now. And from the second paragraph, you start with the lore now. You tell them a story about why you're the right fit and why you're looking specially for that company. Now, for the most of you, there is no difference between Sam and Cam and Trilegal, right? So there'll be absolutely no paragraph on, oh, I like Trilegal the best because they do this. They don't. So at this point in time, you're trying to sell yourself, and you're also trying to cover up some of the things that your CV does not have. That is all the reason why a cover letter is there. If you have an immaculate CV, if your CV is able to showcase that you're the right person for the job, you have the requisite experience, you have the requisite competencies, you have all the skills, you have all the publications, everything, and your cover letter is the bare minimum, I can guarantee you that you'll still get the call for interview. Your CV is the main thing, right? So I've given you tips on what to do when you're in your first year, second year, trying to add things to your CV. I've given you tips on how to consistently work on your CV. That is to spend time with your CV every 1 month. Make sure that as you grow in your law school journey, you have a better understanding of grammatics, grammar, semantics, writing styles. You will showcase that in your CV. So spend like an hour or two every month, and you know that every time you meet a different sort of recruiter, if you're applying to an admissions office, if you're applying to an internship, if you're applying to a legal practitioner's office as an associate, you will have to showcase different skills, you'll have to showcase different qualifications, and that is why you will need to tailor your CVs. So now if anyone has any question for me, because I have just 10 minutes now, I'll take up questions. None? Yes, Gurnika Dhillon.
Yes, hi sir. तो मुझे एक question था. For example, you've added in your CV editor-in-chief ADR blog, right? So,
Right.
since we are first years, we do not have any core team position. We only have it as a member. So, in
Right.
order to fill up the CV, should we add that in extracurricular or in work experience? Where should we add that?
See, it should be a part of your co-curriculars because you're associated with the college's law blog, right? So put it into co-curricular if you want to write about, let's say, two, three things that you've done. Otherwise, it goes into the positions of responsibility because even
Okay.
though it's not something that you were held solely accountable for, you were a part of a team with a specific designation. I remember when I was running the ADR blog, there was a social media team, right? And there was a graphics editor, there was a web developer editor. So all those things meant something. You were given a task every week, every 2 weeks, and yeah, and usually the team came back with good results, Vani. Right. Uh, so put it into positions of responsibility or your co-curriculars, depending on how much value you give to it, and how much you want to talk about it, how much you want to give a description.
Okay. Thank
Any
you.
any other question?
You all were pretty active yesterday. What happened in a day, in a span of less than 24 hours? They were
It's
bombarding the
me.
speaker with questions yesterday. So we have
On
one.
soft skills, we had
Yeah,
questions.
on soft skills, imagine. Now, this is a more concrete topic for you, and you all have to send out a CV at some point in your life. So, do you understand the sheer? Yeah, Satakshi. Mehek will
Hello,
take you
sir.
next. Go
Hello,
ahead.
sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so sir, my question is like, should a first year law student like prioritize interning as a intern or at an NGO? Like, what
Researching.
experience would be more beneficial at this stage?
See, now I can't give you the answer which will apply to you. In general, I can tell you that a recruiter will favor someone who has done some research on laws, right? Rather than someone who goes every day to an office and is trying to create awareness amongst the society. But if you're not able to get a position of research, and especially as I alluded to earlier, some of you have joined law school to make a difference in the society. If that gives you happiness, if that fulfills you as a person, please by all means do the NGO work and make sure that it's reflected in your cover letter that, oh, you meant to do this, and you have a particular inclination towards solving this problem in the society, which is why you joined an NGO. Otherwise, purely as a legal recruiter, I would want you to have some legal research under your belt before I employ you. Does that help you at all? Does that answer help you?
Yes, it does to an extent.
To an
What
extent.
extent did it hurt?
Like I'm still a little confused, like what to go for. Your answer was
See, my answer can't tell you what you need to do. You have to tell you what you need to do. You have to tell yourself that this is why you came to law school, this is what will help you, this is what you want to do. I can give you a guideline. I can tell you what parameters the other person will be looking for, right?
okay, okay, sir.
In the from third year onwards, just do me a favor and the college a favor. Don't do NGO internships after your third year,
Okay, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Might as well get them out of the way right now.
Okay, and sir, what should we include in our CV while applying for these research internships?
See, one of the things that you can definitely write about is the fact that now you've been trained in SCC research, right?
Okay, 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 yes, sir.
SCC Manya is going to do her second session after this. So that's one thing, right? If you're able to find out the judgments, find out which ones have been overruled, all those things can be mentioned. And you can write in your curricular, sorry, in the extra courses and qualifications that you've gone through the SCC training by the ambassador at USLLS. So that's one thing. You can also put in a description, as I have done, of my academic achievements, which showcases that I could research, I could study well. I know that you only have what, one semester or two semesters currently done with the marks out for probably one, even if that, no. If not that, then your school marks, your CBSE marks, everything works, because at least it shows that you have done the bare minimum to get here and you have some sort of experience in putting in those hours that a research usually requires, right? So in the first year, this is what you can do,
Okay, thank you so much.
right?
Sarah, you may unmute yourself.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
So, sir, my question was that okay, we can do internships to build the internship aspect of our CV, but for the research part, how should we start? Like, we don't have a background in the first year, so how should we be starting with the research aspect to build our CV?
Wait, sorry, what are you targeting? What is the organization that you're targeting when you say research? Or is
I'm
it
not
just
particularly targeting any
Hmm.
organization right now, but I'm just generally saying that if I
Hmm.
want to research and publish an article or whatever, like in future, I have a
Okay, so it's
target. Yeah.
all right. So it's less about CV building, but more about how to approach research. All right, I'll tell you. Uh, if you go on Live Law and Bar and Bench's website, you will find a link to their WhatsApp channel. On their WhatsApp channel, they post about 20 to 25 headlines a day, which is usually about a Supreme Court ruling or an interesting High Court ruling. That should be the place where you start researching. That should be the place where you start getting your ideas, right? You'll sometimes see a headline and you'll be like, how is this possible? And then you'll open the thing, you'll go through the judgment of the Supreme Court, then you'll find some other judgments which are cited within, and that's how you start building your research. This is how you start. Once you've started, you'll know the aspects which are coming up. You'll know uh, the topics which need some more consideration. When I was starting out, I remember that there was a lot of discussion on the collegium system. And then in my second, third year, COVID-19 pandemic was everything. You could talk about, oh, how the contracts were facing doctrine of frustration and all these things, right? And and COVID, domestic violence was all the gaga. So This is how you start. You go through headlines, you go through Supreme Court judgments. You can also like find a couple of law journals or blogs which post regularly. If you're interested in IPR, if you're interested in, let's say, public law, then find the blog which is doing very well in that aspect and go through that blog every fortnight. See what's new. Try to read as much as you can.
Okay, sir. Also, one more question. Like,
Yes.
with the besides the research, like writing articles. I personally do not have much of a background in writing articles or anything. So, although I intend to develop on that, so how should I start?
Yeah, writing is the easy bit. Don't worry. Writing is the easy bit. If you have clarity in your thoughts, believe me, writing is easy. Writing is only difficult when your thoughts are cloudy. आप में से बहुत लोगों ने वो जावेद अख्तर की वो रील कभी देखी होगी जिसमें वो कहते हैं कि मतलब मकान ईंटों से बनते हैं और थॉट्स जो हैं वो शब्दों से बनते हैं. जितना आपके क्लियर वोकैबलरी होगी, यू विल बी एबल टू थिंक दैट मच क्लियरली एंड कन्वे दैट मच क्लियरली. So enhance your vocabulary, right? Make sure that your thoughts are clear before you start writing, and then it will be the easiest process ever. If you've made it till here, I'm sure you don't have a lot of issues when it comes to grammar, when it comes to syntaxes, when it comes to semantics. You can always correct them using Grammarly, Chat GPT, things like that. What you really need and what is going to make you a good writer is the clarity in your thoughts. Once that is there, expression becomes easy. So if your research is good and if you have a clear line of argument in your head, believe me, writing is not going to be an issue.
Okay, sir. So, how do we get our, um,
Hmm.
articles or other things in notice of, publishing uh, agencies or whatever
Yeah, you,
publishers?
but step one is to write them, Sarah. Step one is to write them. Step two is to find a publisher who is dealing with the topics that you've written about, and then you go to their website and they have a Google form or a email ID where you can send those things. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hi, sir. I was wondering if you could explain the difference between an SOP, EOI, and a cover letter. It's really confusing and
Okay. EOI is EOI and a cover letter are the same thing, right? There's a very slight form of distinction that you can make is that EOI does what the first paragraph of your cover letter will do, right? So the first paragraph that I told you that I am Samar Luthra, a graduate from this, I am writing this to express my interest in being a part of this position at your that office. That's the EOI bit of a cover letter. The rest of the cover letter I've already explained that it is a sort of a story that you put to your qualifications, that why you did particularly these things, what has been your journey till now, and why the organization fits best to your career projection, career trajectory, right? A statement of purpose is slightly different. A statement of purpose has to be a document which showcases your larger overall goal. So it's not like, oh, I want to do an LLM. Can I please come to your because I have done these many things? No, they also want to know what you intend to do with this LLM going forward. They also want to know what you will do with this experience going forward. A lot of RA ships will ask you for an SOP. A lot of LLMs will ask you for an SOP because they want to know that the person that they're giving this opportunity to has an outlook for the future. So overall, the SOP has to encompass more things, right? It has to give an outlook into your person, an insight into your personality, and you also have to showcase your outlook towards the future. An EOI, a cover letter, is only to the fact that you get into the organization. That's mostly for internships. But what you intend to do later is what an SOP will cover. What is your purpose of doing this? What do you intend to do with the qualification, with the experience that you're getting, and how are you going to cater to the needs of society later on. So that's SOP is mostly like a slightly wider ambit. Yes. Does that
Thank
answer?
you. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay.
So I'm getting a lot of text from you guys regarding sharing of the CVs. We will be sharing sample CVs with you with the requisite format that the placement cell policy requires. So as Samarth mentioned, we don't go beyond 2 pages, right? So that is the same with placement cell. Whenever you're applying for an opportunity through the cell, you have to send a 2 pager only and in PDF format. So we'll share the policy document, we'll share the sample CVs, but I'm not sure if we can share these. At least I can't share the other one that was presented along with Samarth's. Samarth, if he's okay with sharing,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
then we'll
Go ahead.
share this and a sample one.
Yep. Thanks, Sanjeevni. Also, if any one of you have any questions, further questions, you can text me on LinkedIn. If you want a more informal setting, then you can also text me on Instagram, WhatsApp. My number was already in the CV. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And thank you, Vani, for having me. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
for coming in. So we don't have any more questions now. We can take one last if there's any. I think there's somebody raised their hand. Shivam, was that you?
No, my doubt was clear. Like it was only regarding that sharing of the CV because I joined late and was like little confused that what I have missed. That's it. Thank you.
So, may I ask one question?
Yes, last question, and then we'll have Manya take the floor.
Yes, sir. So, in our description, we write that we researched on so and so provision. So, I wanted to ask, can we write something beyond this? Like, a lot of people will write researched on so and so provision, but it does not tell the recruiter like what exactly we did. Like, research is quite generic, don't you think? So, what is it that beyond? What can we write beyond this to make the recruiter think that we are the right fit?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's for you to see how intensive the provision is. You can't just say that, oh, I wrote about the provision which states the jurisdiction of a court, right? Because the jurisdiction of a court is one provision. Yes, it is section falana falana of some act. For cat, the place where I practice is section 18. If I write I researched on section 18, a million questions come to the mind of the recruiter. But if it is a provision which says that, oh, it was the erstwhile 113B of Indian Evidence Act, you know what it's about. It can't be anything except what electronic evidence, dowry death, or whatever it is. 113B, I just randomly said it. So it depends on the provision. It depends on what you want the recruiter to know. I've already told you that if it is something, it should not be vague. Why it should not be vague? Because if it is about section 18 Administrative Tribunals Act, and if anyone asks me about maintainability, which is something that I did not research when I wrote section 18, right? The recruiter can ask me that. I will not have an answer, and then I will not be shortlisted. So it depends on the provision, and it also depends on how much you want the recruiter to know. If you write that, oh, I researched on ASCI's self advertising regulations, right? I've written it. The self advertisement code is this much in width. I was prepared to answer everything that the recruiter may have asked me, which is why I wrote it that way. Otherwise, I could have only written that, oh no, for social media influencers I did it. So it depends on how much you want the recruiter to know, how prepared you are to answer those questions, and what the provision is actually at the end of the day. Cool.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do I start, Vani?
Yeah. All right. So just wanted to address a couple of things. Just checking the participant list. So all of you are first years. We did circulate this link with the placement cell members as well. But I see that 90% of the participants are first years only. However, it is a bit disappointing that 100% of you did not make it to the session because, as you understand, the nature of this session is pretty mandatory and also very, very essential given that you have just entered law school and there has been no formal session wherein you were trained on how to curate your CV, on how to go about, how to navigate law school, what are soft skills. So these 2 days were plenty essential for all of you guys. Whoever did miss out on these sessions, the cell will be deciding on the consequences because there is an attendance form that is being floated, right? One was floated yesterday, and those who didn't make it yesterday joined today. So they'll be filling up the form now. Why haven't we circulated the link again? Somebody just drop the attendance link here so you all can just mark your attendance before Manya starts her SEC session. um Additionally, whatever has been covered in these sessions will be circulating them in a concised PDF version. So we'll be, as I just mentioned, we'll be sharing sample CVs and sample cover letters for your benefit and for the benefit of those who didn't attend the session, right? So we'll be doing that. Please make sure that because so a lot of times it happens that the CVs that we receive on the placement cell IDs are not formatted correctly, right? And I'm not talking about the nitty gritties, but right now I'm talking about the basics, right? The basics of formatting. For instance, the format itself, it should be in PDF. It's clearly specified in the internship and placement cell uh, policy document, right? I think somebody has a doubt. Angeline, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
It happened by mistake, I'm sorry.
Oh, I wasn't aware that it was you, and I wasn't pointing to anybody, but it is the general case with first and second years. In fact, we receive um, poorly formatted CVs of third and fourth years as well, right? So that's like a big issue with everybody. That is why this session was very, very important, right? Equally important as yesterday's, if not more, right? So um, that is a big, big issue here at USLLS, that people send unformatted CVs in Word documents. And then I think it was only like a week ago that we received a random mail from a first year student asking for an internship at some place, right? So that is not how you go about it. That's why we felt it really, really necessary to conduct these sessions so that we at least go over these basic issues with you guys, right? And I hope we were able to come across with some valuable information for you all. And I hope you jotted some things down, right? Um, so from here on out, please send us properly formatted CVs following these guidelines, whatever was discussed in these two sessions. And for reference, you can have a look at the sample CVs because unformatted CVs not in accordance with with the placement cell guidelines are summarily rejected, right? We don't even consider them. So you have to abide by the cell policy in order to benefit in order to take the benefit of an opportunity circulated by the cell, right? So that was it about the importance of these sessions. I hope you were able to take something back, and I would not take any more time. Um, and I'll just let Manya continue with the SCC session. Thank you, guys.
Hi guys, I will share my screen. Just let me know if it is visible to all of you. I hope we are as interactive as yesterday. I was really happy with how interactive you all were. Okay, Shivam, do you have something?
Yeah, like it's out of the box, but like I was waiting for the attendance link.
All right.
Oh, we're just sharing it. We'll just take 2 3 minutes. We'll be sharing it right now.
Sure, thank you. Please continue, the.
All right, so let's have the session as interactive as it was yesterday. It showed me that you people were actually listening something and understanding something. So yesterday we covered word search, find content by section, find by citation. Any questions you people have out of whatever we've covered till now? Any doubt, anything you did not understand, or anything you need a clarification for? Anything?
Didi, I didn't understand the citation part yesterday.
So the citation part, what find by citation helps you do is, for example, you have a citation for a case and you just need to take out that particular case. For this, you need the citation of the case you're looking for, and you have to directly put in the citation of the case you're looking for. For example, this is the citation I have, and then I can directly pull out that particular case using the citation. So it takes me specifically to the case I'm looking for. For this, you need to have the citation of the case you're looking for. This is not something which will help you starting out with your research. This will help you if you have something in your hand and you need to take out the copy of that particular case or something. So you don't want to go to the research results, and you can simply directly go to the case. That's how. I hope that clears this up.
Yes, Didi. Thank you.
All right. So we will start by find by party name today. Anyone who would like to give it a guess? What do you think this would help you do? How can this help me? Just have a look at my screen. And what do you think? It's
Like
pretty
we
basic.
can get information about a particular case.
Okay, so for example, I want to look at a case and I know, so for example, you people must be aware of something called the Vishakha guidelines. Now, I know there was something called the Vishakha guidelines. My senior tells me, get me the case. I am not sure what is the name of the case here. It might be Vishakha versus something, it might not be that. And when you try and go find cases from Vishakha versus something, I'm not aware who is the second party here. So when there are cases as famous as such, you can simply find these cases by putting in their famous name. So for example, Vishakha versus state of Rajasthan, you'll find it here. So when I put in Vishakha guidelines and I open my search results here, just a second. Yeah. I will simply get the full case by its famous case name, right? Here. So I simply had an idea that there's some case which laid down the Vishakha guidelines. I didn't know that it was against the state of Rajasthan. I did not have the citation. I did not know anything more than the name Vishakha. But since Vishakha itself became a famous name and became a landmark in itself, SCC Online was able to find me the exact case. So this is how you can find some very famous cases directly from this option by going to the find by party name option. Similarly, you can also do it if you know the court in which this case was, and then you have a keyword, or you have name of a party in that case or whatever. So this didn't work. So you have to try different things, and how that is how it works. So a lot of times, for example, this is something I tried earlier and it did not work, but I think it might just now. So Mukesh versus state of GNCT, right? But people know it from the Nirbhaya case. So that is something which is it is famous with. And that is what I put in here, and I could find the exact case name. So I didn't know the exact name of the case, but I knew that it knew it from the famous Nirbhaya case, and I could take it out like that. So this is how you can use this feature. Any doubts with this? All right. Anyone was, I think, switching on their mic.
No doubts. It's clear, Deep.
Alright. Next, we come to find by topic. So this is something which can actually also help you while you're studying. So for example, I'm studying administrative law. Here you will find topics divided, and you can straight away go to that particular topic, and you'll also have subtopics in some of these. For example, I wanted to study administrative law and whatever other recent developments in terms of the cases that have come up. So I'll straight away go to administrative law, go to administrative action, and then I'll find all of the digest notes, all of the recent cases which are here for administrative law. So this is something which you can use to study, not just study, it can also help you research. So for example, if I am looking at a particular aspect of administrative law here, I want to understand what is judicial review. So I can simply go and read more about the recent developments of judicial review from a single tab here. So this is also something which is fairly basic. Now, words and phrases, this is something which people tend to ignore, but I think this is a very important tool, because whenever you're given something to research about, what do you do? First, you go and run a basic Google search about the topic when you know absolutely nothing about it. After that, when you open your database, when you go to words and phrases, what words and phrases does, it helps you find the meaning of a lot of terms that you're looking for, and it also refers it to case laws where it was defined or where it might have been defined. So this again helps you get a little more clarity, and also takes you back to another resource. So for example, we'll go to words and phrases. Now there's two ways to go about this too. You can either look at documents where the word will be anywhere in the text, or where the word will be in the beginning. So for example, give me a word, anybody. For example, I want to look for judicial review. I want to understand what is judicial review, and I want to see that wherever judicial review is defined or something like that. Okay, no, we didn't get any results with this. So we'll try with the beginning. Again, something else. Give me something, anything. Contract. So here you see a lot of case laws that you get, and a lot of basic understanding of what contract is. So this is a resource which you can use for your own understanding when you start to read about a particular research proposition, where you end up also finding a lot of precedents, which again might be of help to your research proposition. Okay, yes, Shivam?
Can you search for capital punishment?
Sure. Okay, so I believe it takes your result in a single word. So that's how you have to hit. When you research, it's most of it is a hit and trial thing. You have to try different combinations, you have to try different queries, and you have to see what works best for you and
Yeah.
what features suit the most to you. Okay. Then coming to the red tiles here. Okay, browse curated topics is something which is again something which can be used as a very academic resource. It is a very interesting new feature which is still in development, and they're adding a lot of other topics in it as well. For example, if you have environmental law as a subject and you want to read up about subtopics in environmental law, you can simply go to the browse curated topics section and read up from here. You have all of all of the material under that topic in a single place. So for example, I want to read about biological diversity and I want articles, any statute related to biological diversity, cases related to it. So I will get all of it in a single place here. So if I have a topic, this can also help you when you're writing research articles, because if I'm writing research articles related to a particular topic and I only want to study that topic, this is something you can address from the curated topics. Browse law reports is not something which you will use a lot in your law school, because it basically gives you it gives you the list of law reporters, and then it also gives you the cases which were reported in it on a daily basis. So maybe if you're someone who wants to read a particular law report and you want to read up on the recent developments that are happening, you can go and read it regularly. But it is not a resource which will help you in your research per se. But yes, if you're someone who likes to be updated and read the current, all of the ongoing law reports, then that's something you can use as well. Browse judgments by courts and tribunals. Again, these are just different ways to go about a topic. And here again, you can get judgments by the court. Give me a second. Yes. So if I know, for example, once I was told that there is a judgment which was passed on this particular date, and this is a Supreme Court judgment, but we don't know the name of this judgment. So now I was told, you know what, get me this judgment. This is the date. This is the court. We don't know anything else. So this was the point of law that we wanted. So I would simply go here. I'll go to 2024. I'll go to November and whatever date I feel, because you won't find a lot of judgments here. So there's just one judgment that was passed on 14th November. So this helps me get research more quickly when I do not know anything else but the date and this happens a lot, because a lot of times what seniors do, they'll read an article on live law and they won't have the subscription. So this happened with me. My senior read an article on live law and it was something which would have helped our case, but no one in the office had a subscription to live law. So we couldn't know the name of the case and they wanted it urgently. So they were like, this is the date, this is the court, we don't know the name, now we want the case. So this is something which can help you get results. And when you're interning with a lot of people, and this is, if you know how to navigate through all of these platforms, and if you know how to find out the result that is required, that is something which will make you stand out at the end of the day. As it's evident here, there's just one case from 14th, there's just two cases from 13th. So a lot of times this can be very helpful when you know what you're looking for. It's easier going through 2 or 3 cases. Browse legislation. So this is a question somebody asked me yesterday when I was showing them finding content by section, and we were looking at section 21 CPC. So someone asked me that, can I look at the complete legislation together? So this is how. And you can also download it and keep it with you whenever if you want to study from it. So now there's another feature within this, which is called the funnel search. Do you see this funnel here? Now, for example, I want to look at anything related to civil procedure. I want to look at any act, any rule, basically anything which exists which relates to civil procedure. So I will simply write civil procedure here, and anything relating to civil procedure, any rule, any regulation, any act there is, that will be a part of my result. So this is something which is very helpful when you're conducting due diligence work, which is something which is assigned a lot in your corporate internship. So you're told a lot of times, get me all the rules and regulations related to securities. And so you, as someone you might be someone who's never worked in this area before, but you need to get them every law regulation related to securities. Google might not be very helpful in that area then. So you can simply go here, say securities, and you'll get everything related to securities. You'll get the Bear Act, you'll get the rules, You'll get whatever act or whatever legislation rule there is which mentions or says something about securities. So this is again which helps you. Specifically, it's something which will help you when you're conducting something like a due diligence. Any doubts still here, guys? Anything? Okay, none, I'm assuming. Now, browse articles. This again is not something which is a research tool per se, but is something which will help you if you're someone who loves to read. So Tagore law lectures, that's something it covers, which traces the development of a law. And if you're researching and you want to trace the development of a law, you can go to this place and read up about it. For example, I want to read up about arbitration. So I think I have developed an interest about arbitration, but I don't want to start by reading a book first. I want to read something, um, some quality material written by someone who knows what they're doing, and that is what the topic overview does here. So for example, I want to read about arbitration. I'll go here, and the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, the overview that's written by someone who's doing really well in arbitration. So that is how I can get an overview of something that I want to read about. Basically, something for your own understanding.
Manya, just to point out, Shashank Garg is also an alumni.
Haha, I know. I think first batch, no?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He also came अभी college थोड़े time पहले
Yeah,
event पे ना.
he's a advisor or some adjunct advisor to the blog also, to the ADR blog.
Oh.
That's how I. Sorry, continue.
Any doubts still here, guys? Anything you did not understand? Anything you want me to repeat? Anything at all? Okay. Okay, so coming to browse secondary material. So here you'll basically get all of the bills which are pending in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha, in the Rajya Sabha. So this helps you when you're going into specific research. If you're writing an article, you want to see if this particular topic was ever discussed in the parliament, and I want to see if there's something related to this which was laid down before any of the houses of the parliament, because I want to incorporate that into my article. So you can simply go and check the secondary material, and then again you have this funnel search option here, which helps you research within all of this. For example, I want to look at maternity, and I want to see if there's been anything related to maternity. So I'll get a list of everything, all of the 2007, 16, 88, whatever developments there have been. I can look at all of them here together. All right. Then we come to browse treaties again. If you want to look at international treaties or something, I don't know why this says no results found right now. This might be a glitch or something. But otherwise, bilateral treaties, multilateral treaties, that is something you can access here, which is glitching right now. But yes. Moot court resources. So a lot of you come up to us asking for sample memorials and samples. So this is something you can go to. You'll find a lot of memorials from different famous moot court competitions uploaded here. There's also this introduction to moot courts, something which you can read to start out to understand basic things about it. And you can look at all of these sample memorials of good moot court competitions, the winning teams or whatever bench memorials they upload it here. So that can also be of help to you people. And lastly, browse legal business news. This again helps. You have a funnel search here. I want to look at whatever there has been, whatever update there has been about, for example, arbitration. So whatever, I'll get it here. So more like legal news, business news. This is actually helpful. You can take this seriously because a lot of times you get cases from here. I have been able to procure cases from here because most of it is based on, it's basically similar to digest notes, because it is telling you something in a very brief manner, and it can also help you a lot of times to get your research. So there are different ways to go about all of these tabs. So legal and business news, we were also able to look at those when we were looking at particular topics from the word search itself. So it depends upon what suits you better and what are you looking for. If you're looking for a particular proposition, you will use word search. If you're just there reading up about things and you just want to read up about recent legal news related to arbitration, you can use this. So it's at the end of the day dependent on what you're looking for and what is your main aim and what do you need out of this. Yeah, so I think we've covered all of the tiles. Okay, one more thing I wanted to tell you guys about. So yesterday I told you guys about how do we make a folder. Now once we've made a folder, I made a folder of judgments. I want to look at that folder. So this is how I do it. I go to my folders, I go to view folders, and then I look at all the judgments that I saved here. Now, for example, I want to make a compilation out of it. How do I do that? So, do you see this small printer and folder thing? You go here, and then there's this book here, and when I click on this, so I have to select the judgment I want to make a compilation of, and then I can create a case compilation directly here. This also helps me reorder. So if I have 2 3 judgments here, I can select the order of my judgments, what comes first, what comes second, and then I can directly download it. So I can even create a compilation of these cases. This is something which will help you when you're preparing your case compilations for your moot court competitions, or if you're giving a compilation to your senior at an internship or something. So that is how you view the folder that you would have created and how you collate all of it together instead of doing it from random websites online. You can do it directly here. So that is pretty much about it. If you guys have any doubts, feel free to switch on your mics. Anything at all? Today's session, anything? समझ में आ गया तो ये भी बता दो. Okay. हाँ, Shivam, go ahead.
What's this law at Legal Research Singapore law in the blue tile?
So this is, if you want, it'll redirect you to the website where you will find where you can research Singapore ke case laws. So it's not something which will.
Okay. Got it.
It's something which will redirect you to an external website. Similarly, Hein Online का भी यही है. I'm not sure. Do we have access to Hein Online? I think we do. एक तो है Hein या Westlaw में से कुछ है MyLoft पे. But yes, it'll also redirect you to an external database. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. So do we end this here? Okay, guys. Thank you. Feel free to reach out if you have any doubts about anything.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dee. So, as we wrap up the insightful session, I hope everyone feels both equipped with the skills required to use the SCC online platform. Remember, your research skills are a representation of your professional journey, and today's learning have provided a strong foundation for developing these skills effectively. On behalf of the USLLS Internship and Placement Cell, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Manya for taking the time to guide us with such clarity and expertise. Your advice will undoubtedly help students strengthen their research skills by incorporating today's learning. Thank you all the participants for your active engagement and thoughtful questions.
Thank you, everyone.